Welcome back to the Spunky Pro podcast, guys. I am Karina. I am your host, and today we are delving into a topic which is very seasonally appropriate, but it's also a very general entrepreneurship topic, and honestly, I think maybe a little bit of a general life topic. We're going to talk about the winter blues. If you are in a neck of the woods where you are dealing with snow and ice, maybe you've recently lived through that awfulness where half of us got a lot of snow, the other half of us got frigid ass temperatures that were in the negatives. Um, you likely have a little bit of winter blues happening because you've been really confined inside, and February is typically our coldest month. For those of us that get consistent snow and winter weather, February is typically our coldest and our darkest month. So I'm recording this the last week in January. We've still got the worst month ahead of us. So I figured it'd be good to just have a little bit of a chat about ways that we as entrepreneurs, but then also as human beings, we can help ourselves eliminate the winter blues that tend to happen right now. So I know for myself, I spend a lot of time working in these four walls. I mean, especially in winter when I don't really like driving on snowy roads. Like, I've gotten to the point that sometimes it's like, unless, of course, I really have to go out, like I have an appointment with somebody else, I look out the window and I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit of snow on the road. I guess I won't go there today. Like, that's where I'm at right now, which means I spend a lot of time in these four walls of my house. And that really kind of necessitates when there are clean roads, I need to figure out ways to expand myself beyond my four walls. So, one of the first things that I like to do is to pick out new spots that I can remote work. Now, we all know obviously coffee shops, that's like kind of a duh situation. But I think there are a few other places that we can consider depending on different things in your area that could work very well for a change of scenery. Because, a change of scenery is exciting to us, even if it doesn't really seem like it. Like, you might be like, well, yeah, but for instance, I'm going to talk about going to your gym if it has a communal area, remote working from your gym in the communal area. You might be like, well, yeah, I go there to work out. But that's separate. You go there to work out. You don't go there to work. But it's still a change in scenery either way. So look for ways that you can change your scenery, particularly if you're someone who remote works or works from home. Explore some new options for changing your scenery and working other places. Obviously, some places like coffee shops are going to be really loud, but some of the unsung heroes, like I talked about, a lot of like YMCA's and some other gyms, they actually have like community areas that people are welcome to like congregate in and spend some time in. And usually during the school day, when kids are in school, those places aren't being used in the facilities. So that's certainly an option for you. Obviously, if you have a meeting, I'm not necessarily saying you should conduct it from like the middle of the gym. But if you have a day where you can just be to yourself and just work through some things on your computer, maybe even scan paperwork, who knows? If you can do it remotely at a new surrounding, it's going to do a lot of good for your mental state. Another idea for remote work, and I know, guys, I know this one seems crazy, and just live with it here. So, I recently, when my dad had back surgery in October, I actually spent a fair amount of time sort of remote working from the hospital, albeit from his hospital room, but then also there were little areas in the hospital where you could remote work. I'm not necessarily advocating you go up to the fourth floor and remote work in the family area there, but you know what? They have larger cafeterias. It's a great place to bring your laptop. Obviously, get some food. Patronize the cafeteria. Which there are a lot of hospitals that have really good food. Like hospitals in general, I feel have stepped up your game with food. So totally go there for lunch, but then stick around to do some work. Bring your laptop with you. Get some work done. Um, Another thing that you might look into is obviously like a co-working space locally in the area. But then also, guys, just like a cafe, a local college, local college campus. A lot of times they're okay with the public kind of being in certain common areas, and that will be a place that you could occasionally remote work. I don't recommend like going there every single day. Any of these places, I don't recommend going every single day. These are more just tools to have in your back pocket for a change of scenery. All right, another tip for the winter blues, guys, regardless of whether you remote work or not, is to think of something that you could do that would bring joy, and it's something that you only do this time of year. So, a good example of that is maybe you start a tradition where every other Saturday in February you host a game night with your friends. They come over, it's a potluck, and 2 Saturdays out of the month you have something to look forward to. Um, Another idea would be maybe just do a rotating potluck at a group of friends' house. So every Saturday, every Friday night, or maybe even if it needs to be, a weeknight, fit in a little bit of a every week lunch or an every week dinner with a group of friends. Another idea would just be have something that's very personal for you that makes you feel good and that you enjoy, and use that as something that brings a little bit of joy during this rather dark winter blues time period. For me, one of my favorite things is actually leek soup. I know it's crazy, but I really like leek soup. It's just basically leeks, which are a combination of onions and like green onions is kind of the way I kind of put it. Like it has a slightly stronger, I don't know, but they're just like this great Irish vegetable, and you cook them with potatoes and you use an immersion blender and you make it all smooth. And I love potato leek soup, especially when I put like bacon in there. Like if I put like bacon grease in the pan when I fry up the leeks and then I just use it one pot. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Anyway, so like for me, potato leek soup would be something that I keep sort of special to get me through February, to get me through the long dark month of February here in Wisconsin. Another thing is just, you know what, having a little bit of fun and buying a bottle of champagne, sharing it over a movie night with your significant other, a really good friend, just having something that's sort of special in the month of February to look forward to. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a big excursion to, like, Sandals Resort or jetting off to Europe. Even if you just make something like within your hometown or in your home area, great idea for a super close staycation is if you're in a kind of a suburb like I am, rent a hotel in the nearest rural area and just spend 2 days exploring it. It's in your own backyard. It's really easy to get to if the weather's kind of, generally it's really easy to get to. Maybe some of you live pretty remote. I know some of you probably do, but for those of us that live more like suburban area, pick a weekend that you're just going to go and explore a local rural area, get yourself a hotel room for a night, 2 nights, and just explore. Like, explore it like you were a person that was from out of town. Walk around the streets, explore the different restaurants, explore the different museums. Just kind of, immerse yourself in the local city. That's going to be another way to kind of like burst your winter blues. You're going to get out of your house, which, we spend a lot of time in our houses this time of year in the winter climates. So it's a change of scenery again in that way. Another thing that I recommend to kind of get us through the winter blues is to have a list of people to reach out to just via text, instant messenger, people that you can just start an easy conversation with on your cell phone. So that's all what it is. Make a list of those people that maybe you don't talk to very frequently, like you don't talk to them like every single week. Make a list of those people and just be like, oh, you know what? I want to pull up my list and see who I can talk to. I haven't talked to Harry in a while. I'm going to grab my phone. I'm going to shoot Harry a text and see if he survived the winter cold that happened. So that's another example of something that you can do to kind of get yourself through the winter blues is just interact with people on your phone. Yeah, it's not the same as in person, but it's a great way for people that maybe live in another state that, are going through probably some winter blues as well. Not easy for you guys to kind of like meet in the middle for lunch, but you can reach out to them via text and just have a conversation and see what they're up to. And it's another thing that kind of gives you a little bit of connection, a little bit hit of dopamine in a time where it might be kind of hard to get the hits of dopamine. Now, really briefly, another couple great ideas for you guys for beating the winter blues is that open up your drapes, open up your blinds, let sunlight in. Sunlight is this amazing thing. And actually, this is the time of year where it's brighter in ways because we have the snow, which is reflecting a lot of the sunlight and the moonlight. So take advantage of that. Open your drapes and just have the outside environment be visible. I know sometimes in winter we like close the drapes, like it's cold out there. Let's kind of make sure that we're keeping out as much cold as we can. You have to leave it open for the entire day. just 10 minutes. Just, 10 minutes, open it up, take a look outside, look at the cars driving past, look at the people walking past. Another thing is, honestly, step out for yourself. Bundle up, get your hat, get your scarf, get your gloves, and just go for a quick walk around the block. Just go for a quick up and down your street sort of walk. It's really quick, really easy. And while you're out there, just take a moment to notice nature. Notice what birds are still around. Notice how the icicles are forming on some of your neighbors' houses. Notice how some of the snow hangs on the tree branches. Just take some time to notice these more simple things in regards to nature, and you'll find at least a little bit of peace and a little bit of appreciation in that moment. Another thing I recommend is keeping maybe a particular like blanket or piece of clothing that's really cuddly and saving that for this time of year so that you just have this really nice cuddly thing. Maybe it's something that you got from your grandmother, maybe it's a shawl, maybe it's a sweater from your grandfather, something like that. But keep it special for this time of year and then throw it on and just sort of like be in that environment with that piece of clothing and just feel comforted by it, because we do need comfort during these times of the year. And like I talked about my potato leek soup, another thing you can think about doing is having a specific like favorite mocktail or cocktail that you only make this time of year. A really easy thing to make at home that I don't think a lot of us really do is make like hot toddies and things like that. Those are actually really easy to make at home. Like there's no reason we can't make ourselves those things at home. So let's make that some of our tradition for beating the winter blues. Not that I'm encouraging alcoholism. You guys know I'm not, because I went down that road. Not great. But you know what? If you can enjoy it responsibly, make it a routine for yourself that maybe once a week you make yourself a hot toddy or some version of some sort of warm, soothing alcoholic drink, or create a mocktail version of it. You certainly don't need to have alcohol in it. You can create a mocktail version of some sort of hot toddy or other sort of hot drink that can make it feel really special. If you're keeping it for this time of year, that's what makes it special. That's what makes my soup special. That's what makes your drink special. That's what makes your piece of clothing special. And if it can make this time of year special, it's going to be easy for you to get through it. Another thing I recommend doing is having a list of maybe movies that you want to watch. So certain types of movies I think are great. I really tend to go for like more of the heartwarming movies this time of year. I don't really go for like the dramas or, the thrillers. I'm not even a horror movie person at all. But like the thrillers, I won't necessarily do those this time of year. I want the ones that I know are going to make me feel good and they're going to give me a warm feeling. They're maybe not necessarily going to have like this, like the more 90s sort of like theme to it, but they're going to make me feel good. So I have a list. I also personally, this works for me, and I know, guys, this will be controversial. Come for me in the comments if you want. But more recently, since my mom died, I've readapted how I addressed Christmas. So I put my Christmas tree up. I like to put my Christmas tree up likely either the week before or the week after Thanksgiving. I'm kind of flexible on it when I put it up because I leave it up pretty long. Right now, as I'm recording this, it's January 26th. Guys, my Christmas decorations are still up in my living room and in my kitchen. They're still there. I'm not taking them down yet. I actually tend to slowly get myself out of Christmas because that's what's better for my emotional system. So the first thing to go will be some of the smaller decorations. I'll pack those up, and then a little bit later, I'll finish packing up some more of the decorations. Then I'll stop watching Christmas movies. Like, I'm not watching a whole bunch of them right now, but I watch one per week right now. And that's something that I do to kind of get me through January and like transition me through the worst part of the winter. So I actually am a proponent where if you like Christmas, embrace it longer than just December 26th. Like, there's nothing wrong with having it linger past New Year's. There's nothing wrong with having it linger through January. I honestly feel like if more people actually let Christmas linger, just watching the movies and having the decorations up and enjoying, hot apple cider. I know eggnog, unless of course you make it yourself, it gets hard to find after New Year's Eve, but If we were to kind of slowly transition ourselves out of Christmas in January, that would also help with some of the winter blues because Christmas just makes us feel happy and it makes us feel warm. So figure out a way, if this works for you, to slowly transition out of Christmas through the month of January. That will also help your winter blues because really January you still got a decent amount of Christmas going on. Maybe you're still listening to Christmas music, you got your movies, you got your hot apple cider, maybe you got some eggnog stored up, maybe you make it yourself, you got your decorations up, you got your tree up. Like you got all this stuff that you kind of slowly step away from to remove yourself from Christmas, and it'll make January just that much more enjoyable for you when it can otherwise be a really low time because we talk about the post holiday slump. Like, I think this is because we just drop off Christmas, like, poof, it doesn't exist. So maybe next year embrace a more gradual decline of Christmas. I'm not necessarily advocating that you go home and you put up Christmas all over again. Like, your spouse might kind of look at you sideways, like, really? Again? Like, we just took all of this down. So think about it for next year. Maybe do a slow transfer out of Christmas. Sorry, I lost the word there. It just went poof, it's gone. Maybe consider doing a slow transfer out of Christmas next year. That'll also potentially help with your winter blues. Don't necessarily feel like you got to do December 26th, January 1st, it's all gone. You know, just do a slow transition for you. One thing at a time, knock some things off, and see how that affects you getting through this winter blues period. All right, guys, I planned for this one to be a shorter one, just a little bit of help me sort of situation, get through some winter blues. I didn't really want to get too heavy with anything. So I hope you guys have found something that helps you beat this time of year if you are in a winter blues situation. And if anything was helpful to you guys, I would appreciate you liking this video or this episode. Sharing it with your friends, obviously, that's a great way to share this love and to help someone else get through the winter blues is be like, hey, maybe listen to this podcast. She might have some good ideas for you to get through your winter blues. And she's just generally crazy too, so that helps. I mean, I am. Come on, you guys have been here for a while. All right, you guys, I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you on the next episode of the Spunky Pro podcast.